Remember Unravel? A nice cold platformer where you play as a cute little Yarny, solve cozy puzzles and relax. Well, there's a second one. Now there are two Yarnies. You can play it co-op and everything looks even more adorable. So it's just another easy game with double the fun, right? Right? Yeah, it is fun. If you are a masochist. Because Unravel 2 takes that heartwarming puzzle game and turns it into a dark fantasy parkour speedrun. What used to be a 3 out of 10 in difficulty suddenly becomes an 8 out of 10. The developers decided it would be a great idea to give every single level a trophy where you have to beat it without dying and under the gold medal time. And some of those times, man, they are brutal. So let's get to work. To start off, I should say that I played this game a few years ago in co-op mode. And because of that, I already had a couple of trophies unlocked. 1 for the mentioned co-op, 7 for completing each chapter, and 3 miscellaneous ones for things like customizing my character, trying a bonus level, and getting a bronze medal time in one of the chapters. There is some story in this game, something about creating a bond between two Yarnies, chasing a spark born from their connection, and following the story of two kids running away from abusive adults. But we are not here for the story, right? We are here for a pure suffering. For mastering every single moment in the game, as the smallest mistake can cost us precious seconds. Seconds that you desperately need for these speedruns. I don't have time for this! And because of that, I decided not to play the chapters in chronological order. Instead, I tackled them from easiest to hardest to speedrun based on completion percentages from PSN profiles. I couldn't rely on the official trophy percentages because every single one of them sits at the lowest possible rarity of 0.1%. So the first chapter I went for was called Little Frogs. Years ago it took me over 20 minutes and the goal was to do it in under 8. I barely remember this chapter, so I just loaded it up and went in completely blind using the first run to relearn the controls and figure out how solo play actually works. And while most of the time you can simply merge the two Yarnies into one character and move like that, there are several sections where the fastest solution requires both characters doing different things at the same time. Which is where the solo play becomes interesting. In my case, that meant constantly switching between characters, trying to keep both of them alive and somehow compensating for all the time lost in the process. Luckily, Little Frogs doesn't go too hard on that yet. Most of the chapter is focused on precise swings and jumps, but there are also sections where you are being chased by this evil ash or dust or whatever this thing is. It wasn't too bad, but you still have to be careful. Just because you are controlling the yellow Yarny doesn't mean the red one is safe. There are plenty of moments where a single mistake can easily kill you. After escaping the cave full of evil dust, the final section turns into a chase sequence with a completely unhinged turkey. This included some clever puzzles with distracting him by one character, while the other one sneaks past right under his nose. But after running away from him for a couple of minutes, the cutscene finally plays and we escape just in time before being eaten. Unfortunately, the game doesn't have any timer, so I had to run my own stopwatch on my phone and keep an eye on it the entire time. And to make things better, there's also no way of skipping any cutscenes. But still, knowing what to do gave me a huge advantage. On my very next attempt, I finished in 10.5 minutes, which was already a massive improvement. On the third try, I successfully avoided both the dust and the turkey, earning me the trophy partly responsibly for beating Little Frogs without dying. I still needed to shave off about a minute for the gold medal, but I already knew which sections were the most time consuming, so I practiced those parts a few times and not long after that, this happened. Okay, so from my timer, it's 7:50 now. So assuming it's like 5 seconds wrong. Yes! Whatever. Beat the gold medal time for Little Frogs. Yes! First speedrun done. In what time? 7:56. Nice. The next chapter in line was actually the last one of the game. It's much longer than the previous one as it requires 11.5 minutes for the gold medal. But honestly, this one was super fun to play. After solving a few simple puzzles, the game throws us into a river section where we gain the ability to double jump, which instantly makes the movement way faster.
I don't think you have any idea how fast I really am. I'm fast as fuck, boy!
But before going for the speedrun, I had 2 easy miscellaneous trophies to clean up here. The first one being Airs and Graces, which required me to travel between 2 specific checkpoints without touching the water. The double jump made it very easy, and I've got it on my second try. The next trophy was a little bit more original, as I had to reach a certain point in the level and then backtrack against the flow of the river to find a live buoy placed on top of one of the rocks. Nothing too hard, and here is the trophy. As for the no death trophy, this chapter wasn't very challenging. The only real danger comes from the fire obstacles placed along the river, so all I had to do was avoid them using double jumps and swing across the magic strings scattered throughout the level. I've got this trophy on the very next attempt. And the speedrun? The biggest time loss came from the puzzle section before the river. Once I figured out the most efficient way to solve those puzzles, the rest was just a matter of clean movement and a smart use of my momentum. A couple of minutes later, the trophy at the rapidest popped and the chapter was done. The third easiest chapter on the list was called Night Swimming. And this one is full of various puzzles that require a lot of coordination between the 2 yarnies, which makes it much harder to play solo. For example, here I had to use the yarn between us to reach higher platforms. Here I had to carefully roll this red object so the tree trunk would act like a seesaw and help me reach the branch above. And here I had to use a brick as a counterweight to shoot one of the yarnies onto the roof. But before mastering this chapter, I had to become a live bait. There is a section where we jump across lily pads while avoiding attacks from a pike. If you stay there long enough and successfully dodge 5 attacks in a row, you get another trophy. What's disturbing about it is how this section ends. Oh no, we killed the fish! And this always feels weird to me in such games. Like, we are playing this cute, tiny, innocent creature who just wants to help 2 kids escape from the bad guys, but at the same time, we are the ones who started the conflict. We literally jump on the pike's head to enter the lake. Then, a few seconds later, we do it again to leave. Of course it gets angry and tries to eat us. That's reasonable. So what do? Maybe we try to peacefully go around the lake? No, we go straight through it, smash the fish in the head with a paddle and kill it instantly without any hesitation. That really makes me wonder.
Hans, are we the baddies?
But anyway, besides that pike, there is nothing more in this chapter that could potentially kill us, and so I got the no death trophy right away in my next attempt. And the last thing remaining here was obviously the speedrun. It is a pretty short chapter, but all those puzzle sections are extremely inconsistent. Sometimes this red thing would roll just slightly too fast off the trunk and I couldn't reach the branch above. Sometimes I missed this knot by a fraction of a second and had to go around and climb the wall again. And sometimes this rock would safely fly over my head, and sometimes it wouldn't. What? Like, I was... And it was all the same, like I did nothing different. This got incredibly enraging. Especially when I had runs where everything before went perfectly smooth. If I don't mess up the fish part, or the last puzzle, or die fucking here! And even when I didn't die, my time was still over half a minute too slow for the gold medal. But the next day there was a breakthrough. While watching speedrun guides, I learned a trick that lets you quickly climb any vertical wall. It takes some practice because you have to combine pressing the swinging, climbing and jumping buttons in the correct order, but once it worked, it felt amazing. Using this new trick, I could easily skip the most inconsistent and time-consuming puzzles like it was nothing. And thanks to that, not only did I beat the gold medal time in my very next attempt, I still had 17 seconds left to spare. I knew that this was going to be a game changer. We are now officially entering the harder half of the game, starting with chapter 5. This is the longest chapter in the game, requiring 14.5 minutes for the gold medal. And oh boy, the difficulty spike here was just insane. Even though I could use the wall climbing trick in some places, there were much more places where you could die unexpectedly. And I mean a lot of more places. The ash returns, this time in the form of some dark creatures. Then we enter some kind of factory, filled with areas that are designed to kill. This includes the fire labyrinth, which requires the precision of a surgeon. And obviously it cannot be rushed, because one small mistake means starting the entire section from the beginning. And on top of that we have narrow moving platforms, slides that end in a lava bath, boxes falling on our heads, moving platforms created to crush us, and of course a chase sequence at the end, just in case I started feeling too comfortable. So yeah, this required a lot of practice. Not only to remember all the dangerous spots, but also to consistently navigate one of the hardest platforming sections in the game so far. Fortunately, the time limit here is fairly generous. Even though after an hour of practice I still died 4 times, somehow I managed to finish just in time and get the speedrun trophy. And for the first time ever, I could finally play a chapter without rushing and focus only on not dying. Which, as you know, happens a lot here. At some point I started to lose it. It takes about 5 minutes just to reach this specific section, and I felt this completely irrational stress because I knew I had already made stupid mistakes here before. And somehow I was making even more of them now, which only doubled the stress. Okay, don't die, don't die. Don't fucking die! Wow. What the fuck?! At one point, even the English swears were not enough to express my anger. Ja pierdolę! And when I finally did it, I wasn't even happy. Wow, finally, thank you! Same with reaching the end of the chapter without any further mistakes and finally getting the trophy. Finally. I'm not even celebrating because I know the next one is even worse than this. So. Yep, what I said there was true, because the next chapter is the hardest one to complete without dying. It starts with a cutscene where the forest catches on fire, so you can imagine that the whole level is focused on running away from the flames and trying not to get burnt alive. But before all that chaos, there was one last miscellaneous trophy I could get here called Falling with Style. To get it, I had to pass between 2 moose signs without using any directional inputs. It took a couple of tries, because I had to use my momentum very carefully while also avoiding the fire, but eventually I did it, and here is the trophy. Speaking of fire, it was basically everywhere, but the soundtrack used in this chapter was absolute fire as well. You can hear it playing right now in the background, and I don't care about the copyrights, everyone should hear this masterpiece. It made the whole experience so much more enjoyable, and every death felt easier to handle because it meant I could just listen to this track a little bit longer. It matched perfectly with the chapter theme, and at some points I got completely carried away and started singing along. So yeah, even though this chapter was harder, I had a lot of fun playing it. And during one of my practice runs, I didn't even realize I was fast enough for the gold medal. Whoa! Flash fire! How? I died like 3 times! And 7 seconds to spare. Whoa, I didn't expect it at all. And the no-death run? Yes, it took another hour to do. Yes, there were moments of rage. watch your ass get burnt and you will be just fine. Fuck! Like, what did I say a second ago? But I still had a good time playing it. I don't know if I was just in a good mood that day, or if the level design was better, or if it was just the music, but I never felt exhausted by it. The chapter felt fair. If I died, I knew it was completely my fault and not some weird physics issues. And eventually, I managed to do a perfect run and the hardest no-death trophy was mine. A quick off-top for a second. If you enjoy my rages and would like to see much more of them, I'm starting live streams this Thursday. I will be playing the time trials in the first Crash Bandicoot, so the rages are basically guaranteed. I would love to see you there, so if you want to catch it live, follow me on Twitch and join my Discord from the link in the description, so you don't miss the first stream. Now let's get to the last chapter. And surprisingly, this is actually the first one from a story perspective. It's not very punishing when it comes to deaths. There are some ash creatures lurking around, but they are pretty slow, so navigating around them was pretty easy. As for the puzzles, a good portion of them could be skipped using the Spider-Man trick, so from the very beginning I was quite optimistic about this chapter. I had heard that this is the strictest chapter when it comes to the required time, but I believe the skips would be enough to make up for it. After learning the level, my second attempt was completed without a single death, and since I didn't lose much time anywhere, I was even hoping I could pop both trophies at once. I got safety rope as expected, and that was it. While waiting for the cutscene to end, I assumed I had missed the gold time by just a few seconds. But then I saw this. I was almost 2.5 minutes over the limit, and that was with skipping every puzzle I possibly could. My optimism disappeared instantly. I came back the next day after watching a few playthroughs and analyzing which sections I could improve. And to be honest, there weren't many. It felt like the run depended heavily on luck, especially on where the ash creatures decided to spawn. Sometimes I had to wait for them to finish their path before I could safely jump over them, which cost precious seconds. At one point I had a pretty good run and hoped this might be it. Go, go, go. Don't have time for that cutscenes. And no. Okay. So how fast should I be if that wasn't enough? And I was still almost a minute too slow. A fucking minute! So once again I started my phone stopwatch and began playing while checking my time at specific checkpoints. In this chapter everything had to be perfect. Even the smallest mistake meant losing seconds I couldn't afford. After reviewing my run yet again, I noticed a couple of spots where I could maybe shave off a second or two. And this one being one of them. After being shot, Yarny has a falling animation, and I realized that during this time I could switch to the other one and make him do his job in the meantime. But it didn't save me any time because the yarn between the characters glitched out and I couldn't climb properly. But I was near the end of the chapter, so I just kept going anyway. After clearing the final puzzle, I checked my stopwatch and realized this was the best time I had so far. Okay. 12:23. Oh my god! There's a chance. Go, 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 go. 12.5 from my timer. Plus this scene, it's like 15 seconds, so it might be like just less than 10 seconds before the limit. It is possible. 12:50, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes! Roof Runner! Beat the gold medal in Hideaway. Nice! And what was... It was exactly 30... So yeah, my timer was super accurate. It was exactly 13 minutes. That was easily one of the luckiest moments in my entire gaming history. I was incredibly grateful that the medal description was wrong, because if it actually required under 13 minutes, I would probably still be stuck here for many more hours. And the last thing I had to do was pretty scary. Most chapters unlock a hidden area after you complete them. Each of those areas contain 4 challenges, usually inspired by the mechanics of the corresponding chapter. Their difficulty varies wildly. Some can be completed in seconds, while others are clearly designed to drain every last drop of patience you have. There are 20 challenges in total, and to unlock the final trophy I had to beat all of them in under 45 minutes. I remember that during my first playthrough years ago, I couldn't even complete some of the hardest ones. And now I had to beat all of them in one go under time pressure. As always, the timer is not visible in the game and it runs even while you are in the hub, moving between challenge areas and during loading screens. I'm not gonna go through every single challenge, but there are 3 worth highlighting. In one of them, I had to swing around the area while avoiding the evil ash long enough for a red object above to roll to the right and destroy the wooden barrier blocking the exit. I found a fairly consistent strategy, which was just looping around the ash in circles. The problem was that halfway through the challenge a second ash appears. At that point, the loop strategy completely falls apart and it turns into a pure chaos of swinging around in panic and hoping to survive. Super inconsistent and very time consuming. One of the more creative challenges was Great Balls of Fire, where I had to stand on 2 platforms and pass a burning ball between the yarnies to hit a straw block, burn it down and unlock the exit. And then there was Tilted, the worst of the worst. I had to navigate between moving pipes in a very narrow space, avoid fire literally everywhere, reach the switch at the top, drop down onto the bottom row of pipes, and hang there long enough for the flames on the left to be extinguished so I could finally escape this hell. This single challenge took me over half an hour of practice just to beat once. And in summary, my first full attempt at all 20 challenges took 2 hours and 15 minutes. That's 3 times longer than the required time. The next day I came back and focused entirely on Tilted. I practiced it over and over until I managed to complete it 3 times in a row. And once that happened, I was like, okay, let's try all the challenges again, but now in reverse order, and see which ones are the most problematic. Many of them are puzzle based, so once I had figured them out the day before, they were easy to complete quickly. As for the skill based ones, I got pretty lucky in most of them too. There was another challenge with 2 chasing ashes in which I died several times. But somehow, when I entered the electric slide, the second to last challenge, I still had over 6 minutes left. That's when the nerves kicked in and I started making stupid mistakes. No, don't jump like that. Jump here. Oh no! Why did I jump? Damn it. No, no, no! Ah! Can't waste time like this. Fuck, fuck, fuck! Yes. Okay. Go, 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 go. I don't want to watch this. We can do high fives later when we get the trophy. Almost 2 minutes wasted, but the last challenge left was a puzzle one, so even with shaking hands I knew exactly what to do and completed it without any issues. I was still unsure though if doing challenges in kinda random order would even grant me the trophy. Okay, it's 41 minutes on my timer, so the trophy could pop right now. And hopefully it does. Please. Please? Yes, it did! Hard and fast. All bonus levels in under 45 minutes. And sparkling! The platinum. Okay, so it wasn't that bad. I was in complete shock. I was ready for pain. That run was supposed to be just another practice attempt, and instead it turned out to be the one that earned me the platinum. It was a great experience, the game was very hard but also super fun at the same time, and I really liked playing it. And if you want to see me take on an even harder game with even longer speedrun, check the video below. I will see you on the streams.